Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur. I am Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at Gurugram University in the Department of Management. I am heading the department as Chairperson and also Dean of Faculty of Commerce and Management. I am privileged to author 9 books and 56 research papers. So this day I am here to talk about PowerPoint presentation. We will take up this topic in continuity of the previous session in this regard. We just discussed about what is PowerPoint presentation and how can we create a PowerPoint presentation on Microsoft PowerPoint presentation program. Today in the second half we will discuss about the tips for preparing a best PPT. And also we will discuss about how do we use graphs, charts, etc. in a PowerPoint presentation, along with some more discussion on how to deliver a very effective presentation. So friends, we will move forward and we will talk about tips for best PowerPoint presentation. So when we are presenting or making a PowerPoint presentation, please follow a rule which we call as 8x8 rule. What is it? It's interesting and it's interesting to remember even. 8x8 rule means there must be some good breathing space between the lines and between the words. We should not have more than 8 lines in any slide for that matter, right? And we should not have more than 8 words in one slide, in one line. So that's why it is 8x8 rule. So not more than 8 lines at any cost and not more than 8 words in one line. So that's why, so it means maximum 64 words, which is on a very high side. The lower this number is the better presentation, is a better PowerPoint presentation. So we will have enough of breathing space if we reduce this number. If you notice on this slide which was shown to you a minute ago, even these slides have hardly about 15-20 words. So that and that looks sensible, that looks actually uncluttered and gives a lot of breathing space to the words. Then we should have more scope and room for explanation than words. We should be using only the key words in the presentation. And then we should be explaining orally as much as possible. We have seen many people when they are presenting, they are just reading between the lines from a PowerPoint presentation. And it becomes so much annoying for the audience, I can't tell you, right? So nobody will really pay attention because there's a room for imagining when you just have words. There's a room for thinking. People will think, okay, what does she wants to say? What does he wants to say by just putting one word, one sign, one picture, etc. So there should be more scope of explanation than the words in the PowerPoint presentation you prepare. We should try to use bullets for different points. We cannot have everything just in a running paragraph in a PowerPoint presentation. We should try to use bullets for almost every new point possible. Then we should avoid using full sentences unless it is absolutely necessary. If I am quoting somebody's statement, then it becomes necessary to use full sentence. I can't avoid that. If I am sharing let's say some equation, I can't miss part of the equation, then I need to. But otherwise we should try using full sentences and we should not try using full sentences. We should try to use small words, small sentences, half sentences possible. Then we should complement our text with visual representation as like charts, graphs, photographs, etc., etc. We should also try to complement our presentation with audio effect as well. So audio and visual representation really makes your presentation very effective. So try to use, especially when you are presenting some numbers. Let's say you are presenting your sales report, sales progress report for the quarter gone, So then it's just not easy for anyone to just grab those values from so many tables. It's better to use charts, graphs, trends, trend graph, trend charts, right, or line graph. So we can use charts, graphs, photographs for that matter, and help audience visualize what you are trying to say. So that is very important trick to complement the text with any visual effect. We should be very careful while using the color. So effective use of color makes your presentation very, very effective. It looks more professional if you are using professional color, like for example black, white on white on black, black on white, not so many colors, red, yellow, green, etc., etc. You are just highlighting the most important part in the slide, in the line, and always. So this color use is very important, but should be used as effectively as possible. And always test run your presentation. So always try to run the presentation before you actually present it, because this will help you to see how my text is actually looking in the full window, full size screen. By using that F5 or slideshow mode in the PowerPoint program, you will get to see exactly how my audience will see it when I am running it through the slide mode. Then how do we use charts in a PowerPoint presentation? What all charts do we have? So we have a couple of charts available, couple of options for charts are there, and every chart has a different objective. Using a time series chart, when we are showing changes over time, so instead of just mentioning the number, a change in sales figure for year on year basis, if I put on x axis the time, and on y axis I am showing the data, the sales data, production data, cash recovery data, any data, whatever I'm trying to present. So on the x axis I have my time period. It could be yearly, quarterly, monthly, whichever the times on brackets I have. And on vertical axis, on y axis, I have my actual data for the variables I am talking. So this is showing the change over time. So the time series date chart is shown or used to show the changes in the outcome, in the results, in whatever you are showing. Then we can use item charts. If we have to rank something, or if we have to show the variation between the items. So ranking or variation amongst items can be shown with the help of item chart. So that's the second type of chart which can be used in the PowerPoint presentation. The third option for the charts is component charts. A part of a whole, like pie chart. So I am actually, some part of the whole data is popping up. So as a component, so one component of the whole data set I am referring is just popping up as a whole, as a part of a whole, right? So the whole data is not there, just one part of the whole data is there, and that is used, that is presented on the slide by using component chart. This is very effective when we want to highlight some outcome. Okay, so these component charts are used in such situation. Then we have correlation chart. So the pattern between the variables, I want to correlate, I want to see if my expenses are going up, how my sales is responding. Is my sale going in the same proportion, positively or negatively as my expenses are going? So I am trying to depict the correlation between variables. I am trying to depict patterns. So that particular chart would be known or can be taken as correlation chart. Then we have complex correlation chart. So if we are showing a very complex situation, A is reporting to B, B is reporting to C, C is reporting to A and B both, and we are showing the projects of all the teams together, the progress made by different teams for one particular project itself. So this is a complex correlation chart. So left to right, right to left, unidirectional flow is there, both direction flow is there, all kind of flow is there. So that particular chart will be known as complex correlation chart. So we can use the charts from the software, and in the drop down menu you will find the option insert. In the insert option you will have option to choose charts. So the moment you will click, it will show you how it will look like. You can select it, and the moment you select, it will come over on the slide. Then what all options do we have for diagrams? There are many diagrams. I am going to discuss a few of them. So the interaction diagram, so how different variables are interacting with each other. So if we would like to show the interaction between various variables or various factors which I am showing or which I am talking about in my presentation, so that can be depicted with the help of interaction diagram. We can use structure diagram. For example, if I have to show the organizational structure of on any organization, so I can use a diagram known as structure diagram. We have CEO at the top, then we have managing director or different vice president or vice president, country heads, executives, and so on. So this particular a diagram which we would use for this purpose will be known as structure diagram. So we are showing a structure, which is built from the top, or you can refer from bottom to top or top to bottom. Then the next diagram which is commonly used is comparison diagram. We are comparing, for example, I am using bar chart. 2 bars of different colors are there, red and yellow, green and blue, whatever, or 3 bars are there. So I am showing sales, operating expenses, and operating profit. Right? So there are 3 variables, and I am comparing 3 of them on year basis. So this becomes a comparison diagram. Right? So this is how we use diagram for comparing different variables. Then we have linear flow diagram. I just want to show a linear outcome. A straight line or a simple line showing sales, showing expenses, showing outcome, showing results received, showing numbers for profit, showing numbers for anything. So it's a linear flow diagram. Generally one dot, so we are connecting those dots one after another. So that's a linear flow diagram. Then we have circular flow. So in economics, there are so many concepts where we use circular flow. For example, the vicious cycle for anything we want to show. So it would be circular flow diagram. It is showing how somebody is trapped into the vicious cycle. So in same way we can show many more things in a circular flow. Let's say from sales, I want to show the cash collection period. So I am showing how the cash being received, converted into inventory, converted into sales on credit, converted into debtors, and converted into finally the cash to cash cycle. So that my cash to cash cycle in the presentation is a circular flow diagram, in fact, right? So this is how we use various diagrams. Now I would like to talk about a very important part, that how can we deliver a PowerPoint presentation effectively. So I am going to share the 3 major things in this. The first is you need to develop a sound rapport with the audience by building building a rapport. So how do you do that? How do you develop a rapport with the audience before you start delivering a PowerPoint presentation, or even during that matter, during the presentation for that matter? So first of all, see visualize the situation or the environment. The moment you enter the room where you are supposed to be presenting, it could be a small room, it could be a big room, basis on where do you work, where you are presenting. So just review the situation and the environment and then adopt it. There are people who just will not smile much when you enter the room. There are companies, the moment a presenter enters, everybody smiles. There are companies where people will just stand. There are situations where people will clap before you. So you need to cheer up. You need to respond accordingly. So to build a rapport, maybe you need to wave your hand if you are a celebrity-like person, right? So adapt to the situation, adapt it very carefully by reviewing the environment, by reviewing the situation. That will help you to build rapport with the audience. Then structure the content of the presentation. So how would you develop a rapport with the audience? If you have an index, outline showing that this is how my presentation has been structured. So people will get conscious, people will get careful that yes, this is what I'm expecting, and they will connect with you that this guy is organized well and he is not going to waste our time. The moment you show an index for the presentation, you are actually developing a rapport with the audience. And then make sure, when you are developing a sound rapport, you work on your non-verbal skills. Smile. The moment you enter, you smile. You throw a good smile. You wave hand. You just bow your head. So what all they are non-verbal skills. Thumbs up. So this is what you are trying to. The moment you entered in a room, a huge room where there are a lot of gathering, you just check the mic to see that either the mic is working effectively or not, because you needed to talk on mic because of the number of people present there. So just, you just asked, am I audible to the end? And people just shouted, hooted, yes, no, whatever the response. You can actually nod as well as you can show a thumbs up. Thank you, glad you are, you can hear me, thank you. So you are speaking while thank you, but you are actually showing a thumbs up, you are nodding. So along with your words, you are using the non-verbal skills as well. So that was the first thing. The second is be mindful of the body language and physical behavior. What is your posture? How are you standing or sitting? You may be presenting while sitting, as I am doing right away. You may be presenting while standing. So make sure your body posture is attentive, you are interested in the presentation, you sound careful, you sound concerned, and your gesture is formal, professional, nice, right? You should be mindful of how do you walk into the hall. How does your footwear make a sound? So footwork also matter. The walk, the confidence in the walk, the way you walk, with or without smile, without waving the hands, your posture, your gesture, your walking and footwork, everything matters. So they all are of course the part of body language, your physical behavior. That does matter to make rather an effective presentation. Then be mindful, be careful about your facial expressions. You should be smiling but not be laughing. You may sound offensive if you're laughing. People may think he just is laughing on our attire, on our environment, on our behavior, on us. Make sure your facial expressions are appropriate. Your eye contact is also important. You are looking in the eyes of people to sound confident, to make them believe in you, to make them believe in your presentation or your idea. So that is also very important. Then be careful about your vocal traits. The voice modulation we make, where do I stop, when do I stop while talking, that is my vocal trait, right? So be careful about your vocal traits when you are delivering your presentation. It's just not the content on the slide. It's just not that the graphs or the charts on the slide. How do you speak? How do you carry your body language? Everything combined together collectively have impact on the effectiveness of the presentation. How do you appear? Do you appear tidy? Do you appear careful? Do you appear genuinely nice person? What kind of attire you are in? What kind of color you are in? Are you informal, casual? What was the occasion? Was it supposed to be informal or informal? So you need to appear appropriately. And then you should be knowing how to manage your nervousness if you are supposed to be getting nervous or if you do get nervous. So you should be knowing that we can actually manage nervousness by folding our hands like this, by holding something in hand. Let's say I have this slide changer here, right? You can hold something, you can hold the podium, you can hold the chair like this. So, and you can actually you fold your hands. You can use many such ways, or you can just look at one person to begin with, and later on you just start contacting others. So there are many ways to manage nervousness, but you should be knowing in advance which way works for you, which way is good for you, because everything is not meant for everyone, right? So there could be one technique which will work for one person but not for the other. So make sure how to manage your nervousness. The next thing is the third one, that how do we handle question and answers. So towards the end or during the presentation, make sure you value the question. So you need to be open-minded to value the question by appreciating the person who is raising the question. So be mindful to be thankful to the person who is raising question. It means he or she was listening to you. He or she is interested. It means you made a good impact, that there are questions, or it means you were not very effective at all, so that people have many questions which you need to explain to make your presentation effective, right? So first thing is, we generally say thank you very much for such a relevant question, thank you very much for such an important aspect, thank you very much for raising this aspect for others, for the benefit of others. This is how in general we use different sentences to acknowledge, to value questions. Okay, then make sure you practice before you actually go into the field or present. You should practice how to respond. I should be knowing I need to thank you my audience who is raising the question. I should be knowing I need to be precise. I should be knowing how much time I would have to answer the question. I should be knowing, can I ask for mic to be given to the audience, etc., etc. So that would be possible only if you have practiced those expected questions. The third thing is refine your listening skills. To be effective in answering the question, it's very important that you gather the thought or the question carefully. If you are not able to comprehend the question, certainly you are going to be answering wrong. To avoid that, please try to hone on your listening skill. The better listener you are going to give a better response, and you are going to be a more effective presenter in a PowerPoint presentation. Then make sure, if there are not much questions, make sure you encourage people to participate. Ask them to raise question. Ask them, are you getting me? In between, rise, ask anyone to rise and to answer a specific question or ask you a question, either way. So encourage as much participation by involving people by name, by pointing out by their name, or just asking them to stand up, or just asking anyone to comment or suggest or advise or seek their opinion. If they have some other opinion, be open to that, and that's what is going to encourage the participation. Then control difficult or hostile audience members. Every time, whenever we deal with a presentation for a couple of people, we are bound to get 1, 2, 3 odd people, depending on the size of the audience, right? So you should be knowing exactly how to deal with those hostile people or those difficult people. So make sure you think about a strategy of dealing with them. And the last thing is, paraphrase the question. Somebody questions you, try to reiterate it again for the benefit of the other audience, right? So the paraphrasing helps you two ways. One, the other audience becomes interested in the question because you are restating it, and second, it gives you a few seconds to absorb the question and be prepared to answer the question. It helps two ways, right? So these were the points of making effective PowerPoint presentation. With this, I would like to wind up, and I hope you are clear. You could gather the tips for making effective presentation and all the details that how to make a very effective presentation, PowerPoint presentation in fact. So friends, thank you very much for being with me. I would like to sign off now. Thank you.